On a scorching noon in the California suburbs, I stood in front of my yard, hands cuffed, sweat running down my back, while neighbors poured out like it was a county fair. Everyone had their phones out, recording, live streaming, and no doubt already thinking up some clickbait headline for next door. Criminal caught red-handed right at the doorstep. And right in the front row, like a VIP at a concert, was our HOA Karen sunglasses on, smirk in place, holding a wine tumbler engraved with Patricia, as if she were enjoying a live performance. The cops were all business, not letting me get a single word in to explain myself. All because I owned a 1,965 Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow, far too beautiful for the HOA's so-called uniformity and harmony standards. In that moment, I didn't know whether to be angry, embarrassed, or laugh at the absurdity unfolding. But what I did know was that this story wasn't going to end with me being the only one standing before a crowd. Because in a few weeks, she would be the one standing before everyone, and not in front of her lawn, but in front of the judge's bench. I moved to Maple Rest Heights 3 years ago for two very simple reasons. One, quiet enough to hear the sound of leaves falling. Two, a driveway so long and wide I could park an entire row of classic cars and still have room to set up a full barbecue spread. Life was perfect. Until I met the law itself, aka Patricia Brennan, president of the HOA, and the real-life embodiment of every Karen meme you've ever seen on the internet. She was famous for her ability to find a problem with absolutely anything: grass half an inch taller than the standard, Christmas lights too bright, or even dogs barking too expressively. Rumor has it Patricia once fined a guy $300 just because his lawn was too green compared to the HOA-approved Kentucky bluegrass shade. And me? I had just brought home a four-wheeled jewel, a 1,965 Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow, polished to the point where you could see Patricia's disapproving smile from a block away. And, as fate would have it, in her eyes that car might as well have been a UFO landing in my front yard. I don't know if she was already planning to turn me into a community threat at that moment, but trust me, this was only the beginning. One beautiful morning, I had just brewed my coffee and was casually polishing my 1,965 Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow, thinking today would be a quiet one. But in Maple Rest Heights, quiet is a luxury, especially when you park a luxury car in your driveway. Around 10 a.m., I headed to the mailbox and, ta-da, a new masterpiece. A warning notice taped on with neon pink duct tape so bright NASA could probably pick up the signal. The message read, "Overly ostentatious vehicles must be kept in the garage to maintain the harmony and property values of the neighborhood." I thought, oh, that's cute. Jeff next door must be messing with me. But that night my phone blew up with email notifications. Patricia had sent the entire HOA a blurry photo of the Rolls with the caption, "Is this a car show or a crime scene in the making?" And, of course, the classic Karen closer. "Concerned residents, please await further updates on this troubling situation." Within 24 hours, every time I stepped outside, the neighbors looked at me like I had just sold weapons to a cartel. I still thought, give it a few days. They'll get it. But I had underestimated Patricia badly. If you think a neon pink warning notice and a public shaming email were the limit, congratulations, you've clearly never met my HOA Karen. One afternoon, while I was out, my home security cameras captured a scene that, had I not seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed. Patricia Brennan, Madam President of the HOA, walked slowly up to the Rolls-Royce, a can of red spray paint in hand. She glanced around like she was in a spy movie, then sprayed the words, "Stay out," across the side of the car, complete with a fake gang symbol. But she didn't stop there. She tossed a few empty shell casings onto the driveway, like she was staging an episode of CSI, Suburbia. 15 minutes later, 911 received an urgent call. "There's a gang targeting our neighborhood. They're using a luxury car to scout the area. I found shell casings and gang markings right at the scene." The result? Police rolled in like they were busting a mafia hideout, body armor, weapons drawn, lights flashing, sirens blaring. They ordered me out of the house, told me to kneel, and cuffed me in broad daylight right in front of the whole neighborhood. And Patricia? She stood on her porch, sunglasses on, live streaming, with the caption, "Community safety comes first." In just minutes, my reputation went up in flames faster than the fresh paint job on my Rolls-Royce. After my performance in front of the entire neighborhood, they took me down to the station. I sat there, hands cuffed to a cold metal table, thinking, should I sell the Rolls to hire a lawyer or keep it as Exhibit A against HOA Karen? Less than 2 hours later, a young officer walked in, unlocked my cuffs, and said, "Sir, the shell casings are fake. The spray paint is still wet, and we just watched your security camera footage." I smiled. "Ah, you mean the clip starring our graffiti artist?" That's when Sergeant Mark, my golf buddy from the country club, walked in, his face red as a boiled lobster after hearing the whole story from start to finish. He growled, "David, this isn't just a false report. This is staging a fake crime scene, abusing 911, and defamation. If you want to sue, you've got a rock-solid case." He handed me a copy of the incident report and the city attorney's number, adding, "Oh, and we've been getting complaints about her all year, but no one's ever had video." And that's when I realized this wasn't just a fight to clear my name. This was a golden opportunity for HOA Karen to bury herself in the very hole she dug for me. 2 days later, Patricia received a very special delivery from the city attorney. Not flowers, not a Christmas card. A formal cease and desist letter ordering her to stop making false 911 calls or face both civil and criminal liability. The best part? The letter was CC'd to the entire HOA board, and because it was a public document, it went straight onto the city's website under public notices. It took only a few hours for the HOA Facebook group to turn into a battlefield. Patricia's post shaming me vanished without a trace, but her private messages were leaked. "I hate that car. It looks like he's just showing off." The HOA immediately called an emergency meeting. Agenda: the HOA president's conduct and its impact on the community. The outcome? Patricia was stripped of her leadership duties and removed as admin from the HOA Facebook group she had ruled over for 5 years. A week later, the next community meeting had record attendance over 200 residents, and oh boy, everyone had a Karen story to share. The elderly lady on Pine Street, fined for having a garden gnome out of neighborhood aesthetic. A young couple whose lawn was measured weekly to ensure compliance. When the vote came, the result was unanimous, 100% in favor of permanently removing Patricia from the HOA board. Sitting in the back row, I just sipped my coffee and smiled. The game had only just begun. When you sue someone in the US, there's a phase called discovery, and for me, it was like Christmas morning, except every gift was evidence against HOA Karen. First up, the home security footage. Patricia strolling right up to the Rolls, spraying "Stay Out" in red paint, tossing a few empty shell casings onto the driveway, then strutting off like she'd just completed a mission for the Suburban 007 agency. Next, internal HOA emails where she called me a show-off and promised to clear that hunk of metal trash out of the neighborhood. But the knockout punch was an Excel file titled Compliance Score XLSX. In it, every house in the neighborhood had been given a compliance score, along with Patricia's personal notes. House number 14, Christmas lights too bright, looks like Las Vegas. House number 8, dog barks too much, owner needs to train it. And mine, thinks he's better than everyone, needs to be taught a lesson. At the deposition, my lawyer simply played the video and asked, "Do you have any evidence that this vehicle was stolen?" Patricia lowered her head. "No, I just thought expensive cars shouldn't be here. It makes others feel less classy." The room went dead silent. My lawyer just smiled. We had just lit the fuse on a bomb, and the next part would be watching it explode. On the day of the trial, Patricia walked in as if this were just another HOA meeting, except this time she couldn't mute anyone's microphone. She rejected the plea deal, convinced she could explain it to the jury and walk away free. Trust me, that was the most dangerous level of confidence since the launch of New Coke. The trial lasted 3 days. My lawyer opened with the home security footage. Karen spray painting "Stay Out" in red, tossing shell casings on the driveway like a bargain bin CSI extra. Then he read the emails, the text messages, and finally unveiled compliance, score, XLSX, the suburban Mean Girls score sheet for the entire neighborhood. The jury took less than 2 hours to return a verdict: guilty misuse of emergency services and filing false reports. The judge, in a voice dripping with exhaustion, delivered the sentence: 30 days in jail, 2 years probation, 500 hours of community service in the very neighborhoods she used to complain about, $8,500 in fines and court costs. And the civil case? Her insurance company quickly cut me a check for $75,000 plus a public apology letter that had to be printed in the local paper and posted on the HOA website. Oh, and a 100-foot restraining order, meaning the next time she wants to measure my lawn, she'll need binoculars. After the trial, Patricia's life tanked faster than the stock price of a startup. Elon Musk just roasted on Twitter. The very next week, the real estate firm where she'd worked for 20 years held an emergency meeting and boom, immediate termination. Official reason: not aligned with company values. In plain English, we don't want our employees in the news for picking stupid fights with neighbors. The state licensing board suspended her realtor's license for 2 years, along with a requirement for 100 hours of ethics training before she could reapply. Then came the final blow. Her husband filed for divorce, requesting full custody of their kids, citing her criminal conviction and dangerous behavior toward the community. The last time I saw Patricia, she was loading boxes into a beat-up U-Haul, her face hollow, getting ready to move back to Ohio to live with her parents. Her engraved Patricia wine tumbler still sat on the porch steps, but this time there was no Chardonnay in it, just a thick layer of dust. As for me, I went back to polishing my Rolls-Royce every weekend morning, smiling every time the memory popped into my head. Because sometimes, justice doesn't need a robe. It just needs a security camera. And a HOA Karen willing to dig her own grave.